go back to church, and I know you do too. Some days I feel like a kid bargaining with a parent, saying, please, if you just let us go back to church now, I promise I'll never take it for granted again. And I probably will, and you probably will too, but for right now, we all really want to go back. We want to be back together, and it's understandable. I keep hearing God saying over and over again through the Word, be still and know that I am God. We set out in 2020 to listen to God. We had no idea that we would be listening to God quite this much tell us to be still and know that God is God. And as always, that's our closing blessing for today. But next week, we are going to start a new series, and the series is going to be called Homeward Bound. And it is going to be about us getting ready to go home. Way back when, the people of God sat in exile in Babylon and then eventually in Persia, and they started saying things like, we want to go home. We want to go back to Jerusalem. We want to go back to the temple. We want to go back and be with God. And the prophets, like Ezekiel, kept telling them, you are with God. You're with God wherever we are. God is just as much with us in Babylon, and God is just as much with us in Persia, and God will be with us as we walk home. And many of the people probably responded, okay, then let God be with us as we walk home. Well, it wasn't that many years later that they actually started walking home from Persia, modern-day Iran, all the way back to Jerusalem. And as they started walking, as they were known to do, Psalm 46 is a good example, they started singing. They wrote songs. Well, there is a collection of psalms in the Psalm book from 120 to 134, a collection of 15 psalms that many people believe started being written as the people were still in exile or as they started making their way home. That was 120. And then all the way from 120 to 134, they wrote the songs as they went home. And then 134, ideally, is them ascending the steps of the newly rebuilt Second Temple when they are home in Jerusalem. Well, as an act of imagination and hope on our part, next week we will start in Psalm 120, starting the collection of Psalms 120 to 134, a series called Homeward Bound, because we hope it's almost time to go back home. Have a good week.